What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Stanley Cup Sports History for May 25th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition, a Memorial Day weekend Saturday edition. As always, let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, the Cowboys are not playing. Which of the Phillies team's rivals would you rather see lose? Everybody's pretty spread across the board on this, but 40% said the Braves, 27% said the Mets, another 20 said the Celtics. I have a feeling this was more recency bias since we are in the middle of baseball season with the Braves being our chief rival and just the way the past two postseasons have played out. I had a couple interesting write-ins for the Penguins. One guy specifically when Crosby was at his best, and I have to say there were a couple times there when the Flyers were still making the playoffs and good, and Crosby was in the middle of his career and the Penguins were good, where when the Penguins got their asses kicked in the Stanley Cup playoffs, it was always fun, especially because a couple of those times they had beaten the Flyers. But there were a couple times, too, where the Flyers sent the Penguins home. So that was definitely a good one that didn't quite make my list, but certainly always good to see any Pittsburgh team lose for that matter. I think I mentioned this before, how Pittsburgh tends to be one of those rival cities for me, just based on past experiences as well as the people I work with. But it's all in good fun. It's not as big of a hatred as it is for the Mets or the Giants or the Cowboys. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Text me, leave a voicemail, whatever you're thinking. Philly sports related or even life related at this point. Let's get that thing rolling. All right, a couple quick housekeeping notes. I've been mentioning it. The nickname tournament is set to start June 24th. That's a Monday. We'll kick it off with the Selection Friday show on I'm not sure if it's going to be part of the normal podcast or I'll do something separate, but we'll kick that off on June 21st where we will release the names. Still making some tweaks here and there, but like I said, the top 4 seeds are set, and I think for the most part the top 8 seeds are set. The regions are set. You have the Schuylkill, you have the Cheesesteak, the Ben Franklin, and the Balboa Regional, so it should be a lot of fun. Spread the word. Like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Tell grandma, you're at barbecues today. Spread the word. I leave my business cards random places all over too, and we're starting to run into some people that listen, which is pretty cool. I left a bunch. I was down in the city the last week, so I left a bunch each day on top of the payment kiosk in the parking garage. They were gone each day, so I don't know what happened to them, but if you are listening due to finding the card in the parking garage kiosk at the convention center, let me know. I think it'd be a pretty cool story. Hit me up also on social media, all of that stuff. Twitter, TikTok, at Jimbo_Mont, on Instagram, at PhillyJimbo. Like I said, subscribe to the YouTube channel, though, and always if you're listening or watching, hit the like button. All of that stuff makes the podcast grow. It's all about the algorithm. If you're interested in information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction class for this year or buying tickets to the ceremony, everything you need is in the description below. So be sure to check that out. And if you have a business or want to donate or have memorabilia, hit me up for that too. We're looking for stuff for the silent auction. If you want to be a sponsor, whatever you want to do, I have the information. So let me know and send it my way. And I'm looking at my sound. If the sound is a little messed up, I apologize. I'm trying to adjust the mic here on the fly. Hopefully that works. Anyway, Phillies. Raise your hand if you saw the under cashing by 6 runs last night. Yeah, I didn't think so. 3-2 in 11 innings. Not the kind of game you see at... All right, looks like the sound is better. Not the kind of game you usually see at Coors Field. I took a beating on this game. I had the Phillies on the run line. I had the over 11 and the Phillies team total over 6.5. And the complete opposite happened. Sort of set the tone early in the first inning when Bryce went down or got kicked out for having a conversation. I think he kind of put the ump on edge when he threw his helmet, but it happens. They still battled back, had a 2-1 lead in the ninth. Alvarado gave up a bomb. Coors Field. It's one of those things that happens. They're not going to win every game, so no harm, no foul. The Braves also lost, so they didn't lose any games in the standing. This is one of those ones where you just kind of move on. They had won 6 in a row. Lose. Let's go just win another 4, 5, 6 in a row. And if that's the way we keep rolling this season, I will take it. Nola's on the mound today, so I look for them to come out and really hopefully he can shut them down. I could see this also going the other way where there's a lot of home runs. But I think the Phils bounce back today, and then tomorrow is Ranger Day. So looking forward to just take the next 2 games and go out to San Francisco and get it done. There is some news on the Trey Turner front. He is ramping up and is traveling with the team. He will not play on this road trip, but he is with the team. So that is good news. But I think they're in a position where hamstrings are always funny because they always never fully heal. But I think in this case, you don't have to rush him back because Sosa has been playing so well. It's one of those things. It's a good problem to have. But they are looking to take Game 2 of this series this afternoon out in Colorado. Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phils. All right, Philly Goat. Just in time for Memorial Day. We had mentioned this to them. My wife came up with the idea that maybe he should do that. And I'm not giving all the credit to us, but it's good to see because now it's opening up a whole new world for them. They have a swimsuit, and it's a hilarious swimsuit. It's the pixelated swimsuit, so it looks like you're wearing nothing, but you have the censored. So go check it out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. But these things are hilarious. I'm going to buy a pair. And one thing I forgot to mention, use that promo code for 10% off. Every now and then, Philly Goat does do a different sale that's more than 10%. So if you do go and you get more than 10% off, mention my name in there so we can get credit for it and they know that you're one of our listeners. But check out the pixelated swimsuit. It's called the Censored Swim Trunks. They're hilarious. They have the 2-piece bikini for the ladies out there as well. But Philly Goat, as always, does it again. Check out the other stuff while you're there. And again, use that promo code Jim Montgomery. Let them know you are This Day in Philly Sports History listener. And let's do it. All right. Sixers, still more rumors, still more players being linked to them. I think at one point I saw my name pop up in an article being linked to the Sixers for free agency. I think this is what it's going to be, though. You're going to have a ton of just this rumor because now there's trade. Anybody who's anybody that could possibly fit the Sixers or have ever been possible has been linked. And again, we're not going to know until probably for about another month or so what's going to happen. I don't know. I've been saying this. I just do not have the trust that Daryl Morey is going to do it. But check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. They're doing good things over there, and it's always fun to see the Knicks fans cry. Union in action tonight down in Charlotte to take on Charlotte FC. This is a pretty huge game in the Eastern Conference standings. Only 4 points separate these two teams in the standings. There's a large chunk of teams sort of bunched together. Be nice to see the Union go on a nice little run. But that is tonight down in Charlotte. Take this with a grain of salt. I did read that for the Eagles OTAs that Kenny Pickett was looking good, and there were some people saying he looked better than Jalen Hurts. Now, it's only practice. No chance that Kenny Pickett gets a starting job. But then I looked, and the sites were Pittsburgh-based news outlet, or not news, but like podcasting and reports. So take it with a grain of salt. However, that's what we want. And if God forbid, you don't want Jalen to get hurt, but if Jalen has to miss a game or two, you want to be able to be in position to win without him. I mean, obviously that's how we won the Super Bowl. So like I said, take that with a grain of salt. They were coming out of Pittsburgh, but If he's looking good, that's good as far as the Eagles having a backup, and then ultimately maybe even using him as a trade chip or something down the road. But Kenny Two Gloves apparently looked good at OTAs as well as Jalen Hurts. All right, time for As the Mishkov Turns. There are no updates as far as him opting out of his contract, but he did speak to the media. And interesting quote, didn't give much, but he says, "I don't pay attention," meaning what's going on in the news. "My job is to be 100% playing my best hockey in any situation, or be ready to play my best hockey in any situation. I try not to be distracted by reading the news. This only hinders me from fully preparing for the season." The question is, where is that season going to be? Is it going to be in Russia? Is it going to be in Philadelphia? We're slowly getting to that June deadline. But John Tortorella is ready for him. Already gave him a nickname. Too bad it's not in time for the nickname tournament, but the Mad Russian. But I think I keep seeing these stories too that, what if they send him to the AHL? And there's no way. Dude's 19, ready to play. Like, I think they're going to be all right. It's just a matter of, is it now? Is it next year? Is it 2 years from now? Either way, by the time he comes over, he's only going to be 21, so he's going to have a lot of career in front of him. We'll be all right. But the Mad Russian, I like it. Not sure where that would fall in the nickname bracket, but it's a cool name. So hopefully the Mad Russian is going to bring us mad Stanley Cup Finals. Speaking of Stanley Cup Finals, today we're going to go back to 1997. And on this day in 1997, the Flyers beat the Rangers 4-2 at the Coors State Center. Rod Brind'Amour scored 2 goals, including the go-ahead and then an insurance goal in the third. Lindros and John LeClair each had a goal and an assist. Ron Hextall saved 17 of the 19 shots he faced. Flyers win the Eastern Conference 4-1, clinching their first Stanley Cup final berth in 10 years. Unfortunately for the Flyers, this would be their last win of the 1996-97 season. They promptly got swept out of the Stanley Cup Finals by the Detroit Red Wings, barely scoring any goals. I think we've done it before. I think they scored 6 goals in 4 games or something crazy like that. And you can make the argument that this was the high point of the Eric Lindros era in Philly. I mean, it only went downhill from there. Next thing you know, he's fighting with Bobby Clark. His parents are involved. The concussions started to mount up. But on this day in 1997, Flyers beat the Rangers 4-2 to win the Eastern Conference and go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Unfortunately, for them, it was short-lived as they got swept by the Detroit Red Wings, who were in the middle of becoming a dynasty, which always happens to the Flyers in the Stanley Cup. But, hey, at least we were there. They would go back 13 years later, and they have not been back since, which is kind of crazy. Usually they're good every about 10 years or so. The Flyers will go to the Stanley Cup Finals. It has now been 14 years since wait a minute. Yeah, I guess it was 2010. That is crazy. 14 years ago is when wow. Sorry, I'm having a moment here. That just does not seem like it was that long ago, but 14 years ago, the Flyers were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Huh. Alrighty then. All right, finally today, it's a family affair, and today's spotlight is on one of my favorites. I always point over here because that's where my Mike Schmidt autograph poster is, and then over here is my other guy, and that is number 12, Randall Cunningham, quarterback for the Eagles. The ultimate weapon. Is that nickname in the tournament? Find out on June 21st. But the ultimate weapon, Randall Cunningham, spent 11 years in Philly, threw for almost 23,000 yards, 150 touchdowns, added almost 4,500 rushing yards, including 942 in 1990 when he had an MVP type season under Rich Kotite as the offensive coordinator, and then the 1991 season. I see things on I'm going on a little rant here, but I see things on Twitter and social media, Facebook, all the time about, if you could change one play or one game or one outcome of whatever, or replay any game in Philly. Like I'm sure you've seen them, all those different things. And my answer is always the same. And ultimately, I started this podcast based on the question of what if. I started writing a book, which I still need to start finishing. But anyway, my biggest what if of all time, and it's what if Randall didn't get hurt that first play of the 91 season in Green Bay. To me, that defense was outstanding, and they had no quarterback, and they still won 10 games. Imagine if they had Randall coming off an MVP type season. Man, and that is it's still infuriating and just frustrating to this day that that season just did not get to play out. And speaking of beginning of the ends, that was sort of the beginning of the end of Randall in Philly, to be honest. But for his career, he's just under 30,000 passing yards, 207 touchdowns, just under the 5,000 rushing yards, 35 rushing touchdowns, and yes, it's a different era. He was sort of almost like a bridge quarterback from the old school stand up straight in the pocket to like what you see today. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite Eagles, if not my favorite all-time Eagle, and met him at Westchester for training camp. I'll never forget, he stepped on my foot. It was like the highlight of my childhood up until that point. It was like, Randall Cunningham stepped on my foot. But he revolutionized the game. And before we get into the family affair part of this is going to lead us to today's question of the day. And yes, I am 100% completely biased on this. I will throw that out there. However, I think a strong argument could be made. Is Randall Cunningham a Hall of Famer? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Text me, call me, let me know. Give me the case for or against. Because to me, the case for is his numbers are up there with the guys that he played with. And yes, it's a different era than what you see today. So almost 30,000 passing yards is not really that much in today's NFL when guys are throwing for 4,000 or 5,000 yards a day or a year. I get that. But if you look at him in comparison with his peers, he's sort of in the top 5 in a lot of those categories. But to me, he revolutionized the game. He was ahead of his time. He got no coaching from Buddy Ryan. And I know everybody loves Buddy Ryan, including me. But Buddy Ryan effed up Randall Cunningham. If he gave him anything, Doug Scoville dying, the quarterback's coach, really hurt him. That was the 89 season. The fact that Rich Kotite, I think Rich Kotite had good ideas and could have used him, but I don't think he approached Randall the right way. And because Buddy had been so hands-off, it just screwed it up there. But to me, he revolutionized the game. You don't have Lamar Jackson. You don't have Jalen Hurts. You don't have the quarterback, C.J. Stroud, Michael Vick. The guys that really had strong arms and could run the ball as the quarterback, the mobile quarterback, I guess you could say. Even to guys like Carson Wentz to a certain point. Like, you don't have guys like that coming into the league without Randall Cunningham. And he was ahead of his time, but he revolutionized the game. And on that alone, he should be in the Hall of Fame. And then you throw his numbers in there, and I do think you take the whole picture because he was doing things at a time when nobody else was doing them. But let me know what you think. And I admittedly, as I'm staring at the autograph poster on my wall right now, I am biased. But like I said, I certainly think you can make a strong case based on numbers and just being a trailblazer in the way the game is. Because without Randall, sure, it might have ended up here, but Randall is like that bridge from the old school way of playing in the NFL to what we see today. Like, you don't have those mobile quarterbacks that can run the RPOs and things like that without a guy like Randall Cunningham. Is he a Hall of Famer? In my book, yes. Let me know what you think, though. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Hit me up on any of the socials and let me know as well. All of that because Randall's our family affair spotlight today. His older brother, Sam Bam Cunningham, was a fullback. There's a nickname for you. Sam Bam Cunningham But he played fullback for the Patriots. He was the first round draft pick, number 11 overall for the Patriots in 1973. He is still their all-time leading rusher. He's in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He is a college football Hall of Famer. So not a bad bloodline there. I do think, and again I'm biased, but I think we ended up with the right Cunningham brother. I'm not going to say this is a case where we had the wrong brother, because nobody's going to say anything bad about number 12. But Randall's son, Randall II, is an NCAA indoor and outdoor champion high jumper. His daughter, Vashti, is a bronze medalist, world champion in the high jump for outdoor track, gold and silver medalist high jumper for indoor track. She's a 2-time Olympian. She took 6th place in the high jump in 2020. She was one of the youngest, since I forget the year, but one of the youngest track and field athletes ever. She just won this year at the Penn Relays, the high jump. I think if I remember reading it correctly, it was a little over 6 foot. She is hopeful, as the U.S. Olympic trials get underway in June, to become a 3-time Olympian. She's in the top 10 in high jump in the world, so hopefully she's going to be able to make some noise there. But Randall, I think, for my money, is the top guy in the family. But it's a family affair, and Randall has, between his 2 kids and his brother Sam, comes from a long line of strong family athletic ties. But the ultimate weapon, Randall Cunningham, is today's It's a Family Affair Spotlight. Question of the day, let me know, is Randall a Hall of Famer? I will beat that drum and stand on that mountaintop all day long that he and J-Roll both belong in. And I know it's too random. And it's funny because I'm a huge McNabb guy, and McNabb's numbers are way better. McNabb is the greatest quarterback in Eagles history to this point. I still would put Randall in before McNabb, and I certainly could make the case that McNabb is a borderline Hall of Famer, but Randall is in my book. So let me know what you think, and maybe I'm crazy. Tell me to stop drinking the Kelly Green Kool-Aid. I'm fine with that, but is Randall a Hall of Famer? Yes, he is. On this day in 1997, the Flyers beat the Rangers 4-2 to win the Eastern Conference and go to their first Stanley Cup in 10 years. It was short-lived as they got swept by the Red Wings. We will have more on our Mishkov watch tomorrow. Maybe it's Memorial Day weekend, a big United States holiday. Maybe he'll make a move and we'll get some early news that he's coming over and opting out. I don't know. Crazier things have happened. Phillies look to get back in the win track. Hopefully we have a Union win down in Charlotte tonight as well. Please be safe out there. Don't be dumb. Don't drink and drive. Don't blow off your hand sitting on fireworks. All the other cliche things. Like I said, just be smart. Don't be dumb. Walk, call a cab, call an Uber, whatever you got to do. Don't be an idiot. But be sure to have fun. It looks like it's going to be an outstanding day. So go enjoy your Saturday. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for May 25th, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.